And people were like, you're probably gonna drop earlier, and I probably am. But welcome to the King CJ Music Podcast, where we talk music, culture, and everything pop related. So this is a conversation, and the BET Awards. Let me preface by saying people's love and hate for the BET Awards spans decades, right? And I think it's because a lot of people don't understand how people are winning these awards. And so let me explain my understanding of the awards, and then I'll kind of like break a few of them down that I really truly want to talk about. Some performances I want to talk about, but we're gonna kind of talk about the BET Awards, and I think this is my kind of thing to talk about because the BET Awards always fall on a Sunday, which is weird. So this is kind of my rebuttal of it, like of the week and what I'm kind of saying. So we're gonna first start with, I think this is the thing. A lot of people don't understand how the BET Awards are like designed, and with that being said, the way the BET Awards are designed, or my understanding of the BET Awards, it's 500 people that are in the music industry that pick who win, and so there's been a lot of movement in this industry recently that I think I'm kind of happy to talk about, and Beyonce's one aspect of it, but like Taylor is another, right? But it's also like we have awards with like amazing people. Let me not say that, but amazing people that have put out albums and singles this year, in which a lot of people, and I think this is the thing, it says 500 people, and I think those 500 people may be, um, I don't know how it is, they may be American leaning, and this isn't me saying that I think certain people should have won over others, but it's a weird thing, and so um, it's a weird thing to look at these awards and then look at the albums that I've talked about this year and realize I might have played a role in it. So let me start there, but also I don't know. It's a weird thing to look at, and I think this is how I'm gonna wrap up. Like, it's a weird thing to look at, right? So it's how did they perform last year, and I think this is kind of my thing. Um, and we'll get to Cleo's when I get to it, and we'll talk about her run with Little Sims that I think, was kind of like, hey, that's what you should kind of take. But we're gonna talk about this Best International Act Award, and I'm gonna talk about it because I was concerned. So when we talk about Cleo Sol, and I talked about her at the very beginning of this episode, I was really hoping, and um, this may be a little bit of my bias because I think going into the awards, I had nominees that I thought were going to win, and for the Best International Acts, I thought Cleo Sol was going to win because she did put out Gold. And I think, to me, while it isn't the masses idea, I think Gold had a good out. It had good qualities built around it. For example, the production of uh Gold being her album in 2023, it was very fluent. But then I had to look back, and so I thought she was gonna win. Um, but like, I'm not really surprised because Tyler put out a song called Water, and it made a lot of challenges, and now Cleo didn't do necessarily that, and so I understand that she wasn't necessarily going to win, but she has had a hot run in 2020, like the 2020, 2021, 2023. It's had a hot run. Um, and for me, the song "Woman" that came out on Little Sim's album, good song. But also on her own album, she has great music that I would recommend you listen to. And those songs, if you really want to know them, and I'm expressing myself, if you really want to know it, is "Reason," which I think is good. There will be no crying, but those are songs that I do kind of enjoy. The lead single "Gold" is maybe not my favorite, but it's on that album, so we have to talk about it. So when Tyler won this, and I don't mean it, I don't know. She's had a rocky few months, like the media training, and a lot of people don't have media training. So we learned from a generation that had extreme media training, how to present questions, how to answer questions, how to do this, how to do interview. We had a lot of this, and I don't know if Tyler has it. Um, and this isn't a dig at her management or anybody on her team. Let me phrase that way. This isn't a dig, but like at a certain point, I was just like, is she going to talk about it? Because it'd be interesting for her to talk about like Tyler in that situation. And she kind of just addressed it. Hey, I didn't expect to win, and so it's weird, but it makes me believe, what is the American perception of like who's the best artist, but then also what's the TikTok and what's the other things, or who's the better artist. And I think I didn't really consider that before this like best international act, because internationally all of these artists are very good at what they do. Asake, BK, they're all great artists. Don't get me wrong, they're all great artists. But Cleo's with her album that dropped, I thought gold was gonna be her year. However, looking back at it, I think Americans, but also people in the world liked Tyler's Water Challenge a lot more, and that boosted her song, boosted her singles. That's statistically what happened. Now, this is what I want to talk about. I don't know, right? And I think this is the thing. The winner of the New Artist Award, they gave it to Tyler, and so I was fully aware. I thought if Tyler, so these were basically my things, and I think I overassumed, right? Because my association with it was, who's the bigger artist in sales? And I thought that would go to Sexy Red, since Sexy Red has had a 12-month run on albums. Tyler has had a run, but with one single. So I thought we were equating, who did better for each single or sales and stuff like that. And I thought Sexy Red would win. However, initially I was like, this is probably what's gonna happen, and they're gonna give it to Sexy Red. However, I was surprised when they gave it to Tyler. For example, she has had a rocky 12 months, and this is not like her own doing. This is like music where people were like, we don't like this and we don't like this. So the conversation around it was, which kind of music do people prefer? Do they prefer Sexy Red's music, or do they prefer Tyler's music? And what the overall assumption, I assume, is now of those 500 people is they like Tyler music better than Sexy Red's. Which gives me hope, because I think, and this is not a dig at Sexy Red, but I think a lot of people don't like Sexy Red's style and the way that she does things, and so it doesn't translate well to people that aren't part of that, right? Like, who aren't like part of that kind of experience, they don't really care for it, so Tyler was the next best option. But I do want to say this, and Friday and October London, they had a very considerable feature run in 2012. Friday and I believe October London, right? But somebody was on Don Toliver's album, and I think it was Friday. And Friday with Charlie Wilson and Don Toliver, one of the best songs on that album, I was assuming on that 12-month run, he was gonna win. But then I thought about the mass media. It was between Tyler and Sexy Red, and now as you had asked me beforehand, I probably would have leaned more to Sexy Red. And that's more looking at like what's being played more often on the radio, the charts and stuff like that. And so with me not seeing War on the charts, I didn't think Tyler was gonna win. In all fairness, I didn't. But Tyler won. So that's also great. Now we have to talk about something in which I'm not entirely sure. I guess these next two topics I'm talking about are tricky subjects in themselves, because I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure, right? Like, I say this with me being honest. I don't know, right? Because this is best female hip hop artist, and while this is not a direct diss to Sexy Red, I think the question is, right? The question is, who's the better artist? And so this list, I do have to mention that this list is a lot trickier, to pick. But out of those people, who has the best chance with these people, especially when people say the last time they listened to female hip hop music is Nicki Minaj. There was, in my idea, because the way YMCMB built up their artists like Drake and Nicki, and we've seen this previously, but they're able to take hits and still make great music. And this isn't a dig at Nicki. This isn't a dig at Cardi B. This isn't a dig at Doja Cat. This isn't a dig at Lotto. This isn't a dig at A Spice. There was one other person, and it's not me being. I'm going off the list, off the nominee, off the top of my head, and I think is it Lotto? Is Sexy Red Lotto, Gorilla, Doja Cat, Cardi B, Ice Spice, Nicki. Right? Out of all those people, they all have their own fan base. And so let me preface this thing. Gorilla is nice at what she does, right? And it's very difficult for me to go. I think if you ask me who's a better or like who's similar to Nicki and that raps out, I go Gorilla. And so in my decision and like in my thinking of this, because I think it shocked a lot of people, because in my thinking, best female hip hop artist, we have to go albums, and I think Nicki dropped an album. Megan Thee Stallion dropped an album titled Megan Thee Stallion, but she did drop it late. And so that may have caused her not to win this award. And I don't think Cardi B's done a lot of features, but she hasn't done an album, and I wonder if that's what knocked her. I wonder if that's what dinged her from being like the one of this nominee of this. I just wonder if that's what dinged her. But Nicki Minaj's, and this is not like, hey, I don't want anybody of their fan base is getting up on me, but Pink Friday, I enjoy some songs of Pink Friday. I just don't know. I don't know, and this isn't like me digging at anybody, but I don't know if Gorilla, I don't know if somebody else dropping consistently like Nicki did, like in 2021 and 3, like I don't know if Nicki wins this award, but I think Nicki, and this isn't me doubting her lyrical ability, I think she is one of the like greatest in female rap, and that's Queen Latifah, and that we can have that discussion. But it wonders me though, because it's not like I was worried, right? Because I was like, if Nicki wins Best Female Artist, she should win Album of the Year. But Album of the Year is something in which, I mean, I understand, but a lot of people don't. And so when we get to this next category, I'll talk about it. But the next category is Album of the Year. And so let me do something. And so it's ironic, but Album of the Year to me, and I don't know, I think For All the Dogs had got buried by a lot of different things. The diss track being another, diss tracks, Bryson Tiller, Party Next Door. It really did get buried. Like J. Cole did a few things on J, and it buried him, right? It buried For All the Dogs. I think if you ask me who's for on All the Dogs, who the features, I'll go Chief Keef, Party Next Door. J. Cole is on 2 of them, but then he also dropped the Scary Hours 3. So, like, if you ask me who was on For All the Dogs, while it is For All the Dogs, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this, and we're gonna see if I can do it. Who's on For All the Dogs? We're gonna do SZA, J. Cole, the guy from Tease something. It's T-E-E-Z. Party Next Door, of course, because PND 4 dropped that previous month. Chief Keef, SZA, and the thing, Chief Keef. Was Bad Bunny on it? Lil Wayne, I believe, was on another one, right? It's Lil Yachty, it's not Lil Wayne. That feature list, while it is a powerful feature list, it got buried For All the Dogs, and so I don't know. I think Killer Mike's album, and a lot of people saying they don't know who Killer Mike is. If you know anything about Outkast and you don't know anything about Killer Mike, it's interesting. He also did something on Reagan. He's great at what he does. He does a lot of great music. But the conversation is, like, a lot of mainstream people don't know exactly why he won for Michael. Michael is a powerful album. If you want a song to go listen to, Scientist. Like, Scientist is one of the best songs on the album. It has Andre 3000. It has Future. It's gold, right? It's gold production wise. The next conversation we need to have is, and a lot of people think, well, I have never heard of the album. It's not being played on the radio. But right, like genuine radio fans, like genuine music fans, love it because they have been waiting for a Killer Mike album to drop. So, people that are older maybe in this generation love it. Like a lot of people do. Now, a lot of people in the young generation say, hey, I'm not seeing this on TikTok. I'm not seeing this on Instagram. I'm not seeing anybody go, hey, this is a song, an album I want to listen to. They're like, this isn't an album in which I ever thought was going to win, right? And it's interesting. It's interesting because if you don't know who Killer Mike is, then, you don't understand how he wins it, and I get it, right? Like, I get it. It's a very tough choice. Can we talk about this? And I think it's for all those that buried. But like Nicki Minaj's album did well for the first 3 days. Let me tell you, it did phenomenal in the first 3 days. Did phenomenal. Like, and J. Cole's a feature on that one. Did phenomenal. First couple of days. I think it was 90 streams was being what was apparently reported was 90 streams in 3 days, which for any artist outside of Drake is amazing, right? But you have people like J. Cole, Lil Wayne, Drake's, Lil Uzi Vert. I'm trying to think who else is on this album. Future with Nicki and Hendrix, right? It's a great album. And this is the sad thing about it. And I'm not trying to get Drake fans or Nicki fans upset, but like they're great albums. They're just not what like people are listening to, and granted it might partially be because we were waiting for Andre 3000 to drop an album. He dropped a Flute album. I like flutes, so that Flute album was okay to me. If you don't like flutes, then what album are you going to listen to that he recently dropped is on Killer Mike's album? So it's it's a lot that went into play to that, and I think that's partially the problem. Is part of the reason why that album is doing so well, but you're not seeing the effects of it on the charts. A lot of people don't pay attention to charts that like listen to it. What is it? 90? It's weird. Like overall, it's a fair, like these are fair albums, and so I don't want to make it seem like I'm just knocking these albums because they're not like Killer Mike's albums. But it's hard for me to say, on a Killer Mike album who's going to win. And so we're going to talk about a few of these awards. And so we're going to talk actually about the Viewer's Choice Award. And so the Viewer's Choice Award went to Beyonce, right? And so let me start by saying this. And so For All My Life by J. Cole and Lil Durk, that's an impactful song, right? Like that brought a lot of people together. It brought so much influence and music to that thing. It has won an award in the B.E.T Awards, but I wasn't sure it was going to beat Beyonce's Effect and letting people go to country. Right? And the argument of it is, well, Chris Brown's Sensational should have won because Chris Brown has so much friends as Beyonce does. And Beyonce, it was something new for Beyonce. Like, it was a new experience for Beyonce. The promotion, everything behind it. She has, like, a Beehive, and, hey, I'm not coming at the Beehive. But it's, like, it's this conversation of who's going to be Beyonce? And I think that's true. I think you have, and this was my like conversation for best viewer choice of the award, and I had 4 of them going into it, and no shots at people that love Drake, SZA, and Sexy Red, but this was the conversation. The conversation before the awards it was either going to be Lil Durk and J. Cole, right? It was going to be Victoria Monet on Oh My Mama. It was going to be Gunna with You Mean. It was going to be Tyler with Water or Beyonce with Hold'em, Texas Hold'em. And for all recognitions, Beyonce Texas Hold'em won, which I think is a surprise to a lot of people. But you have to look at the impact Beyonce did on it. People are more accepting, Tanner was making music before Beyonce went in the country. But, like, she has that push that came from a lot of people, Beyonce fans going to country music, which I think is interesting, right? Because it even started a controversial conversation of who should she be allowed to do it, which is interesting. We're going to talk about best collaborations, and best collaborations went to all for All My Life with J. Cole, and I think that is true. It was very impactful. It was a great thing that no one saw coming, right? But I mean, it was a weird thing. Like, you see a conscious rapper with Lil Durk trying to change the world, and I think that's that perfect song you get. Now, video of the year, Victoria Monet on My Mama is one of the best videos so far. However, conversations were had that, First Person Shooter should have won since it initially started the 2024 beef of the year, which is it sounds crazy because we're still in 2024, but like this was the conversation being had. Now, best male hip hop artist was gonna be Kendrick. I think the industry decided that he wanted to be for Drake, and if you like snub Drake, it's weird. Like it's weird to me because more on the Big Stepper, like when it first released, didn't do like high numbers. It did numbers after, which I don't know. Like as I said, you get 500 people to pick, and I'm not sure how you do this. Right? And so, best female R&B artist. This was interesting to me because we got ICU, we had, which is weird, and I get SZA's point of not being one to be labeled an R&B artist when she's simply just trying to express herself, right? And so it was weird to me to see Beyonce on this list. I don't know why. I think it's because it's /pop, and I think that's why Beyonce is on this list, because I don't know. Like, okay, so this list confused me when I first saw it, because it says first R&B /pop artist. So you get Tyler, you get Long, you get Doja Cat, you get Coco Jones, you get her, you get Beyonce, you get Victoria Monet, you get SZA. But if you ask me from those three who are like R&B artists, I mean, SZA is experimental. Her, Coco Jones, and Victoria Monet. So I think pop got in here a little bit, but like when it got in here, SZA won, and I think I understand her frustration in it, because while rhythm and blues is part of music in general, when you want to make music as experimental like Bryson Tiller did this year, you're labeled under R&B. And so while there are ways to get out of that category, I think she feels like she's stuck in that category because of her first album. I think to a certain degree, it seems more experimental than I give her credit for, right? So, can we talk about this? And this is why that tweet from Brian Exor seemed interesting to me. He said, I was going to let all you R&B artists have your night, and then the best male R&B artist goes to Usher, right? But when I was looking at this list, and this could be the snub that he was just trying to throw up, he knew who was going to win, because he said Bryson Tiller, Bryson Tiller, Drake, I think he did Brent too, but like he directed this towards certain people, and I was like, if you're gonna do this, that means you drop the day after. He didn't drop the day after, so this is why I'm having this conversation. But like, I mean, it was gonna go to Usher because Friday's on here, October London. But if they didn't win Best New Artist, Best New International, or Best New Artist, I wasn't assuming they were gonna win this. It came down to that. Burna Boy, he had a great year. That album was great. Drake's had a shaky year, but Bryson Tiller's had a great year. So I think all these artists had a great year, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if he wins the major award this year. I don't know how you win if you're going up against that, right? It's very difficult for me to see that. So let's talk about something I really want to talk about. let's go into something I really want to talk about. And well, there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but these are like my main things I really do want to talk about. So as I said, Beyonce made B.E.T made the experience where we had to hear from Tara, right, and her song Buckle Bunny. And so it's weird because every time an artist goes to an alternate genre that's not hip hop R&B, people go, oh, you're not doing this, or you're not doing this. And I think it's great, but hey, B&T, can we do something that, like the altered people that do metal, stuff? I just think, when you go BET, because the selling point is the black experience, I assume, or what it is for us, right? So by that same logic, I'm like, hey, could you put like, we have great metal artists that do alternative music, but BET has been mostly R&B and rap. And so when SZA says she feels like she's only put in this category, it might be because the categories y'all give at the BET Awards are so limited. And this isn't like me criticizing the BET Awards, and I know they're going through who they're going to sell it to, and I won't, at this recording, I won't know. But this is what I want to talk about. And then I want to talk about. So, and I don't know who calls the shots. I really don't. So at the BET Awards, we have like great things to talk about. But the question became the sexy red performance, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know sexy red. I think she said she made it as like a joke song, and it made her very popular. I get it, right? And that's part of one of the songs that blew up this year. But was the performance needed? And this isn't a dig at sexy red. I just have genuine questions. I think the reason I have genuine questions because Glover put out because y'all just Gambino put out an album this year. I think would have been great, to perform. I think Bryson Tiller, Party Next Door. Like there's so many people, and I think that could have put like a great spin on this. And I don't know if it was set in stone because a lot of them did release late in May. So, it makes me wonder. You have so many artists. It makes me wonder. The Will Smith performance, and it's not like a dig at Will Smith, but like I don't know how many other artists get to debut a song at the BET Awards, and it's I don't know, it's concerning to me because I think it's I don't know. I think I wonder because I don't know any artists that would be like, what, I'm able to just do this, right? And so, as I said, that maybe could have been filled with another slot, and this isn't like a dig at the BET Awards. I just think it was interesting. Can we talk about this? And so, I love this. I do. You give Bob Marley movie of the year. I love that, right? Because it's a great movie. But like at the same time, can we talk about Lauryn Hill and her son's performance and their dedication to Bob Marley? Okay, so look, I love Lauryn. Ooh, I love Lauryn Hill. And I've had this conversation because it's interesting to me because I was happy, right? And I was happy I'll put it at the end of the show, but like, could we give her some more time? Because I was loving it. I was loving from her album Misunderstood. I was loving the performance. They were in character. They were enjoying it. You could hear Lauryn, her vocals and singing, but also her rapping ability, which people forget that she does. Oh, it was the show, man. It was a lifetime event that if you have never experienced or seen Lauryn Hill perform, it's just chef's kiss. It's one of those shows where like if you don't see it in person, oh god. It's just so many people. They were jumping. They were energetic. Oh, the people hitting pianos, the drums. They were all just jumping, having fun, and bringing that culture of that dance hall. Right? It was just one of a kind. So let me say that, with it being like said, like Lauryn Hill is a creative. Their child. So this was the conversation all night, and so it was a weird conversation because they were like, he sounds like his father. He sounds like his father. And others was like, he doesn't, but he somewhat sounds like it, right? So that tribute of him doing a Bob Marley song it's so. And it's not that like it's like it's not like the Caribbean or like Jamaican Proud, but it's just, oh my god, it's an experience. I love it. Like I just do. I wish it was a tad bit longer, but like I loved it. It's just an experience to just experience Lauryn Hill perform is just something that like it brings me cheers. It's a happy moment because it's Lauryn Hill, and Misunderstood is one. It's just great. It's just great. I'm like, it's just great. But like the best. That's one of the best performances I've seen all night. Right, by far one of the best performances I saw that night. It just it's hard to beat Lauryn Hill. It just is. Um, so let me talk about this, and I think this is the thing. People are mad at the Usher tribute, and I get it. I get it. People are like, "Oh, well, there's no male representation for Usher." But like, there have been rumors that Usher didn't want like a male serenading him, so it was a bunch of women. And as I said that night, it was an episode I dropped that night, and it was like looking back and seeing like people you were kind of children with at the same time watch them perform, and so we get Kiki Palmer, we get Coco Jones, and it's just So let me tell you, they can sing. I think Kiki Palmer is great at what she does. She can sing. But you can see her being playful, and so I get that. You know, we get Summer Walker, and Summer Walker, I think out of the three might be one of the best. But it's special to see this, right? It's very special vocally to see these vocal experiences be so different, right? And I get it. More on Chris Brown, a lot of people could have done it, but I think when you get like the people that's gonna be kind of people that's just gonna be like jokey with it and enjoy the tribute, I think you can't go wrong with Kiki Palmer. I definitely know you can't go with Coco Jones, but it's always been interesting to me to do that, right? It's not something, and I think you can see Usher face. He's like, I really enjoyed it, you know, because it's celebrating Usher, and I do like that. However, BT, my one gripe with you was this, and I thought it was my TV. I thought it was all my TVs. Y'all cut his speech out one time and let him talk, and then cut the entire, like, half of his speech out again. And I don't necessarily know if that's production's fault. I still to this day have not seen a statement about it. Right? And so it's interesting to me. The second thing I want to talk about is OJ. And it's weird to me because a lot of people say he shouldn't have been included. And it's weird to me because, like, I don't know. It's weird to me because you say personally remember, but we've done it from Michael Jackson, right? And, you know, he had those charges around him. One of the kids finally came out and said something, like, recently after he passed. But, like, we've had these conversations with OJ. So, Michael Jackson. So, it makes me wonder, right? It makes me wonder, has his image on what he allegedly done, because he was convicted, he was non guilty, and so in the court of law he was proven non guilty, he was guilty. So has that overshadowed his football career? And if people don't know, he had a football career before he did this. So I don't know if it overshadows it. Maybe it overshadows it, and that's what the problem is. But we've done stuff for the dead before, so I'm not entirely sure why that was the case. But yeah, we lost a lot of people. We lost one of the Isley brothers, which that for this moment to get overshadowed and they go, hey, OJ's the issue, and not understand that we lost an Isley brother is kind of sad to me, because I think the conversation should have been over who we lost, and when we lost the Isley brothers, it's been one of the sad year. We lost Rico Wade, which it's like utterly sad, but like it's not being covered because they're like, oh, OJ did this. Like it's weird, man. It's a lot. It's weird to see this because a lot of people are like, hey, this happened. He shouldn't have been this, and I don't know. I think you go and say, hey, so and so shouldn't have done it. Okay, fine, but like there's still other people that died, and we're trying to remember them in this moment. And I think that I don't know. I think you overshadow when you go. He had a football career, but we're like, oh, because you did this, we can't do this, but he's fine now and guilty, so we have to do this. Like it's weird because you're like running the legal line of, oh, he's not guilty, so then it's this. And it's weird to me. It's really weird to me, right? I don't know. But overall, I think my recap may be the best recap, but like, by far, by far, one of the best performances, Lauryn Hill. You know, I was best new act kind of made me worry, but like it was an okay day for hip hop. I think you look at the things and you're like, okay, it's one of hip hop's good years, but like it's not what everybody wanted. But I don't think you can please everybody, especially for a award like this. I don't think you can. So I get that it's hard to tread that line, but at the same time, it might be good to talk about. I think it may be. But I don't know. What are your opinions on the BET Awards? What are your opinions on the? I used to know what this means. I hate to say it, the BET Awards, but like, it's I don't know. It's interesting to look at. It really is. It really was interesting to look at this year, but like, it's also like, hey, can we bring more people in and just not do them because they don't fit into a certain category? I think it could always be a better year. But that Lauren Hill performance, you're not gonna see me kind of like talk about any other performances because there's just no beating it. The Usher experience was cool, but I think the L'Oreal experience, it and it's not saying that Usher wasn't a bad show. It was not a bad show. It's just it didn't lack male representation, and I know a lot of people are mad about that. But the women had an amazing night. Coco Jones, but also getting permission from his wife before he did it. Loved it. But it's I don't know, it's weird. But like if it brings me so much like I'm saying, that part brings me so much happiness. I want to know your opinion, but that Lauren Hill performance does bring me so much happiness. But with that being said, how do you feel about the BET Awards? Do your opinions differ from mine? Because if they do, let's talk about them.